that have really kicked up this afternoon, but looking ahead to some increased wildfire smoke in the area, what that could do for our air quality with some gusty winds coming in. So if you can give me about 30 seconds to a minute, I'll make sure everything here is working here behind the scenes. But in the meantime, I will show you our current wildfire map and what that is looking like. I'll try and adjust this just a hair so it's a little more straight on. But yeah, give me just about 30 seconds to a minute, and we will get fully started in this evening's update. All right, it does look like everything here is working behind the scenes, so I'd say at this point, let's get started. Again, thank you for tuning in this evening. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask those in the chat section. I'll try and keep an eye on those as we go throughout this update, and certainly let us know where you're tuning in from, and we'll go from there. So starting off with the wildfires, and the wildfire map. We've seen a lot of smoke filling into western Montana through the afternoon and evening, and a lot of this is being caused by fires back over into Washington. The Crown Creek, Tacoma Creek fires, for example, but there's a few others just off this map further off to the west. So let me get some of those fires. We've got the Rattlesnake Fire west of Spokane, the Lynx Mountain Snow Peak fires, Katy Creek Fire, and the Sampson Fire, all roughly in this zone that have been putting out a lot of smoke this afternoon. And bringing it closer into home, our three most active fires on this map are the Elm Creek Fire, which is now sitting at roughly 1,800 acres after really taking off yesterday, as well as the Windy Rock Fire. You can actually see that smoke plume from earlier this evening. This is looking at about 6:16 or 6:15. All of that heading towards Bozeman is that smoke plume. And then we also have the Timber Butte Fire. That is a new one that started up this afternoon, and it has grown very quickly. The latest updates on that particular fire, let me get this, are now have it sitting over 1,000 acres, 1,062 to be specific. So those are the three main fires in our area, but even more so, at least for parts of the Bitterroot Valley, even the southern Missoula Valley. These fires over here into Idaho, looking specifically towards the Wind Lake Fire, the Meyer Fire, and the East Fire, have been quite active today. They've been putting a lot of smoke up. So unfortunately, that has been doing quite a number on our air quality. So it's been a combination of local and regional fires today that have been causing us those air quality issues. And honestly, I think at least here in Missoula, and I talked to somebody up in Kalispell earlier that said this is probably one of the worst smoke days that we've seen across the region, at least this afternoon, and unfortunately that could even get worse into tomorrow. But I do want to show one picture going back down here to the Timber Butte Fire to the north and west of Lima that started up this afternoon. We haven't seen too many pictures of this particular fire just yet. We did get one photo from a viewer, but also we have had this view from the Monida Pass MDT camera. So this is looking back off to the northwest, up I-15 north. And you can see that smoke plume here that has been quite substantial since about 4 o'clock, about when it seems like this fire started in that 3 to 4 o'clock, and then it continued to take off from there. But it's rapidly grown, and that'll be one we have to keep a close eye on for tomorrow, with winds starting to kick up. So that one, the Windy Rock Fire and the Ulm Fire, those are our big players right now. But even some of the smaller fires, going back to that fire map, looking at the Hollowatt Fire there north and east of Kalispell. Let's see some of the other smaller fires. The Rattle Mountain Fire, which is just across the state line into Idaho, very close to the Elm Creek Fire. And then some other fires up here into northwest Montana that are less than an acre. I didn't put them on the map, but with increasing fire activity for tomorrow, something we're going to keep a close eye on. As for the air quality, we've seen that for most of the state in the moderate category, but as you can see at Thompson Falls, and I think this has to do with the Ulm Creek fire, we've seen this now drop into the unhealthy for sensitive groups category, and we could see more areas with that type of air quality throughout the night and into tomorrow as that all of that higher altitude smoke starts to settle down just a little bit. So as a result, we have air quality alerts here in gray for all of northwest Montana, as well as parts of west central Montana, so looking towards Powell, Missoula, and Mineral counties, but as well as Sanders, Lincoln, Lake, Flathead, and into Glacier County as well. We're seeing the likelihood of reduced air quality at least through tomorrow morning. I think that'll continue into the afternoon, and the reason for that is going to be continued increasing wildfire smoke. So right now we have this northwest flow. This is bringing a lot of that smoke down to the south and east, and you can see some of those more significant plumes. All of this up here in northeastern Washington, Ulm Creek fire, and some up here into parts of British Columbia and Alberta. But watch as we get into Thursday morning. You see all of this right on the top of the screen. That is going to be Canadian wildfire smoke that gets pushed in as our ridge shifts back off to the west just a little bit, and we get into a more northerly, almost northeasterly flow. And you see how that really pushes in to tomorrow morning. So really, I'd say 8, 9 o'clock, we could be looking at least the worst air quality of this, at least of the last couple of days. One thing we're going to have to watch for is with this wind shift, how quickly does that happen and how quickly does it start to clear the air from east to west? You can see Kalispell, we may actually clear out pretty decently by the afternoon hours. Missoula, Butte, Bozeman, the I-90 corridor, right on the edge of that. So we may see some improvement by the time we get into the afternoon. Missoula, Hamilton, will have to watch the Windy Rock fire. That may bring more smoke into our area as we see those winds shift direction. But for the most part, we're going to be seeing a lot of the wildfire smoke getting pushed the opposite direction and out of western Montana. And that continues into Friday, but it really just comes down to how far west does that wind shift take place, that we're going to see it. But as you notice, we're still looking at the potential for heavy smoke towards the Missoula Valley, down into the Bitterroot Valley areas, towards the Big Hole Valley. Something we'll be keeping a close eye on. In general, I don't think we're going to be getting rid of the wildfire smoke completely, but by the time we get into Friday, we may see some improvement. Now, coming back into the winds, we do have that potential for some pretty strong winds tomorrow I say tomorrow afternoon, but through the entirety of the day. West Glacier region, Flathead and Mission Valleys, we could see winds in excess of 30 miles per hour as we go from 6 a.m. to midnight. So that's when that wind advisory is in effect for. And going into the wind tracker, we'll see those winds. You see, even in the morning hours, 20 to 30 miles per hour up here towards Kalispell. That's all associated with that wind shift. Most of the region, I think we're going to be more in that 15 to 25 mile per hour range, though those may pick up again into the evening. But where we have those wind advisories coming back in here, choppy conditions on area lakes can't be ruled out, so that could be hazardous for small craft. We're going to also see the potential, or at least for some spotty power outages, depending on how strong some of those easterly winds coming off the mountain and there onto the eastern shores of Flathead Lake will be. And then on top of that, even though the temperatures, which I haven't brought up, temperatures will be a fair bit cooler tomorrow, but with the winds, the dry conditions, and the already active fires, our fire weather risk will be a little more significant than what we've even seen the last 2 days when we've seen wildfires get a lot more active. So we have one help in the sense that our temperatures will be much cooler tomorrow. We're not talking upper 80s, 90s, and low 100s like today. We're talking 70s up to mid 80s for tomorrow afternoon. So a big change in those temperatures. And some of these may actually end up being too high. I'll use Missoula for an example. With the amount of wildfire smoke we could have tomorrow, this may actually have to get brought back down to, say, 80 degrees, maybe even the upper 70s. So these temperatures that you're seeing here might actually be a little too high, just depending on the concentration and thickness of the wildfire smoke tomorrow. So that's one thing that we'll be keeping a close eye on. And I know Chief Meteorologist Brooke Foster will be in for tomorrow morning with those latest updates, and she'll have those new temperature forecasts based on how much smoke we see. So that's going to be one of those watch and sees. But again, like I said, one thing helping us, temperatures going down. The only problem when it comes to fire growth and fire weather risk is that we're still very dry, and we're going to see those winds kick up very significantly in comparison. We've seen those less than 10 miles per hour for the last few days. Those will be back up into the, my goodness, those will be up into the 20s and 30s at least for tomorrow. Now, as for those temperatures, we're going to see those sitting around the 70s and 80s Thursday, Friday, likely into Saturday as well. Right now it does look like after tomorrow, Saturday will be the warmest day of the next 7. We're going to see those temperatures right around 80 degrees there, Butte, Dillon, Bozeman, 87 Missoula, 85 in Kalispell. But then Sunday into Monday, we're going to see those temperatures start to drop off once again. And the reason for that is actually because the high pressure ridge starts to move back overhead, and that opens the door for a little bit of southwesterly flow to bring in moisture in the form of clouds and that potential for some showers and thunderstorms. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, isolated to potentially scattered showers and storms are expected. Right now, biggest concerns with that, let me go back to this, will actually be slow-moving thunderstorms. They're not going to be essentially getting pushed along by a major storm system. These are just going to be weak disturbances, so they'll go up. They won't move very fast, and like we've talked in the past, if those happen to fall right on top of or near some of our recent burn scars, that can lead to debris flows, that can lead to some minor flooding as that water really just kind of rushes off of it and drags some of the ash and burnt material off with it. So we've got a few days to watch that, but that is going to be a potential once again towards the end of the weekend and early next week. Right now it does look like Tuesday has the best chance for showers and thunderstorms before things start to quiet down just a little bit. But again, those cooler temperatures likely are going to be sticking around, so we're going to still be a little bit above average, but we are only going to be, say, maybe 3 to 8 degrees above average as compared to 15 to 20 degrees above average like we have been the last little bit. So one last thing, and this is sort of that last window. If you got any questions, feel free to ask those. For the rest of the evening, yes, we do still have heat advisories in place for the Kootenai Cabinet region, lower Clark Fork region until midnight. We're beyond the worst of the heat. We're already seeing those temperatures cool back down. Thursday and Friday, above average temperatures sticking around, will be into the 70s at least, maybe even some 80s, just depends on how much wildfire smoke sticks around into the afternoon and how much that limits the maximum temperatures we see. But we're still going to be hazy, especially during the morning. Could see some, at least, moderate to unhealthy type of air quality with those air quality alerts. That'll continue into Friday, though I think the hazy conditions will start to improve. Will still remain breezy, though, with those winds of at least 15 to 20 miles per hour in those gusts out of the east, and then with some of those stronger gusts, 30 to perhaps size 40 miles per hour, where those wind advisories are West Glacier region and the Flathead and Mission Valleys from 6 a.m. to midnight on Thursday. Then we'll get some relief in a little more substantial of a way. Southwest flow returns, especially as we get into Sunday, and then Monday, Tuesday, showers and thunderstorms, much cooler temperatures, and in places like Butte. Right now, we're forecasting into Tuesday, Wednesday of next week, temperatures down into the 60s. So there are a few locations that may actually end up below average on those temperatures into early next week. So I think with that, I will start to wrap it up. Thank you all for tuning in this evening. If you have any photos or videos of some of the vibrant sunsets we've had because of the smoke, or even just some of these smoke plumes that we have, especially towards like the Olm Creek fire, the Timber Butte fire down near Lima, and then even the Windy Rock fire closer to Helmville, north of Drummond, feel free to share those photos and videos with us at nbcmontana.com/chime in. Tune into our live broadcast tonight here at 10 for the latest news and weather updates. And then, of course, tomorrow morning, NBC Montana Today with Jason Hurst and Chief Meteorologist Brooke Foster from 5 to 7 a.m. So again, have a safe rest of the evening. Have a great evening, and I will see you all on the next one of these updates. Unless something crazy happens with the fires tomorrow and we start having some bigger issues, likely as we head towards the weekend on Friday. But regardless, I'll see you all in the next one. With NBC Montana, I'm meteorologist Mitchell Combs.